Hey everybody, Erica here from BioLite and Mindy from BioLite, and welcome to our Kickstarter live for the BioLite HeadLamp. I'm going to talk for a few seconds before we get started, just so that we can have other people join us in the room. If you're here, give a wave, say hello in the comment section. That'll help us understand if you can hear us or if you can see us, all that good stuff. So the overview of today is going to be a kind of history of how we got to the headlamp we have. Then we're going to answer some of the questions that we've been seeing in our messages and on the boards. And then we have a really awesome part that we're going to wrap up with, which is we're actually sitting down with two of our beta testers, and they're going to talk about how things are going out in the world with Headlamp, answer any questions that you have that they can answer for you, because obviously it's great to hear from Mindy and from the BioLite team, but also you can get some honest answers from our beta testers who have been using this headlamp on the regular. So I think we'll give it a couple more seconds and see who is joining us. If you just came into our Kickstarter Live, welcome. This is gonna be about a half an hour long. And if you can, give us a quick wave or hello on the comment wall so that we can confirm that you can hear us, that you can see us, and that we are good to go. So let's see if we get a few more coming in. And then just so everybody knows, a couple of quick things. If you want to ask questions on the comment wall or on the little message board, definitely go for it. We also have some questions prepared in advance that have come from the community and things that you're asking us. If we don't get to your question, we will address a lot of other questions in a written wrap up at the end of this as well. We're trying to keep this to around 30 minutes. We know a lot of people might be joining us on their lunch break or sneaking it in the morning if you're on the West Coast. So thank you for joining us. And so if we don't get to everything, we will get to your questions. We might just need some time to hunt down the information. So I think with that, I think it's time to get started.
Let's do it.
Yeah, so what we're gonna do is you're gonna actually see the camera move around a little bit. We're gonna actually tilt downward to our workstation, and Mindy's gonna take it away with a quick origin story of the kind of inspiring insight behind why we decided to make a headlamp in the first place, and then the design and material selection process that led to our prototypes and that led to the final headlamp that you see on our heads. All right, Mindy. I'm gonna moonwalk out of here. Take it away.
Okay. Hi guys, I'm Mindy. I work at BioLite and I'm an industrial designer here and the project lead for the BioLite HeadLamp. And so really the original opportunity that we identified that put this project into motion was that despite headlamps being something you put on your head, they're not very wearable. And we observed this on our many camping trips. We'd look around the campfire and we'd see people, it'd be nighttime, but they were wearing their headlamps around their neck. And so it's not a neck light, it's a headlamp. And so we really started to ask ourselves, why is this? So looking across the headlamp market in general, you can see that headlamps are all very, very similar. There's a large plastic chunk on the front, sometimes a chunk on the back, and it's cantilevered on a piece of elastic. And it's sort of a very basic physics problem where you have a lot of weight hanging, cantilevered out from your forehead, digging into your forehead. And so we asked ourselves, does it need to be this way? And is there some way we can sort of disrupt this very typical headlamp architecture? So one of the things that we like to do at the beginning of every project is try and learn from what's already been put out into the world. So we'll go to different store locations and we'll look at different types of products, all different types of products, not just headlamps, to see, is there something that we can learn about manufacturing and assembly technology? So these are just a few of the original samples that became an enormous source of inspiration for us when setting out to design what is now the BioLite HeadLamp. And it's kind of funny, when designing something for our heads, our first source of inspiration was by looking at our feet, and footwear has really made a lot of really incredible advances in how to take a very functional product and make it extremely comfortable in a compact and streamlined way.
You want to hold it up to the camera just so
Sure.
people can see what you did? Basically, just cut a running shoe in half.
Yeah. This is a Nike runner shoe that we found that we sliced open so that we could see all the different layers of how you make a shoe. And with just this one product, we see so many different types of processes, heat transfers, different types of lamination, cut, sew, different types of expanded foam. We see some molding processes, which is all really cool. And this was the first time that we realized that you could integrate processes for hard goods with processes typically associated with soft goods. And as you have probably realized, that's sort of what a headlamp is. It's a combination of hard goods and soft goods. This is the second reference sample that to you just looks like an oven mitt, but to us got us really, really, really excited, because what we see here is that this company has taken textiles, cut and sew textiles, and taken a steel tool and shut that tool off on the fabric, and then injected like a rubbery silicone material over the fabric. So again, this is a really cool example of how you can take processes associated with manufacturing hard goods and combine them with typical cut and sew production. And then this is another sample that we were just amazed by. It's a knitting process where they've knit all different kinds of stitches that have different amounts of elasticity to provide support when wearing it. They've integrated a rigid piece of plastic into here.
What is it?
This used to be a knee brace. So, you know, like if you had some sort of knee injury, you'd want to support it in certain places, but then let it move in other ways. And this was an enormous amount of inspiration for us, specifically because we knew that we were going to be integrating a cable into our head strap. So when we saw that they had laminated this into their knee brace, it gave us a lot of inspiration for how we might be able to achieve that. So that's all great. The next thing I kind of wanted to show people out there is behind the scenes look at the types of models we build in-house to get from just an idea to a final product. And I'm sure the Kickstarter community maybe is more aware of this than some other people, but it takes a lot of process and development and design models to solve all the mechanical issues associated with any product, not just a headlamp. So over here, this is a combination of functional models, so focusing just on the electrical design of the headlamp with some design models. This looks quite a bit different than the end result, but this is one of the first design models that got us really excited and gave us hope that it was possible to achieve this vision we had of like integrating the plastics and the electronics with the soft goods. Here are some really quirky engineering models where we were looking at different types of architecture. So here you see an articulating PCB. We didn't end up doing that. Another one here where we're challenging the typical way headlamps angle. So we have one static fixed PCB and one that's articulating. Here we considered possibly getting rid of the angling completely and just having two set angles. We determined that that was probably not the best for the user. This is a really fun prototype we made where we put lots of different mechanical models on the same head strap so that we could go around with different users and ask them to angle it and interact with it, and then sort of like ABC testing to
just
determine,
sort of rotate it around your head.
Exactly, like find out which is the best result. And then these are some of the early design models. So when making design models, what's really important is to determine what the intent of the design is going to be, sometimes regardless of mechanical constraints. So this is the first time where we said, if we could express this design exactly how we wanted to express it, regardless of what is actually possible, what would it look like? And so you can start to see here that now we're really getting closer to the final form factor of the headlamp that we designed. And then here we have our first sort of combined works like, looks like model. And from this point, we started to lock the design and dig more into the manufacturing and how we were going to get it made. And you can see that there's quite a bit of similarity between these two models.
And so that model you also took out and started using, right?
Exactly. So this was a full, it's kind of beat up and battered now because we did so much testing with it, but this was the first model that we really went out and started doing like very heavy user testing with. So then speaking of the manufacturing, one of the most difficult aspects of this project was figuring out the soft goods, because BioLite, where our background is in hard goods, which is injection molding, and the assembly processes associated with that, also in electronics and technology. Our background is not in soft goods. So it was a huge learning curve for us. And actually, we relied very heavily on our amazing manufacturing partners that we work with. So this is a pile. We have many, many, many more of these, hundreds more of these. This is just a handful of all the different combinations of fabrics and plastics that we tested before arriving at the final head strap that we ended up going with. Here you can see us struggling a little bit to figure out how we were going to integrate the cable into the head strap. We have some different materials on the front and the back. This was a pretty crazy one where we were looking at a sort of like a coated pleather material. We wanted to see how different coatings would look. We ended up not going in that direction. Here's a design where the fabric does not fully go around all the plastics. The plastics are laminated to the textiles, but it's not completely integrated. So we felt that this didn't fully achieve our goal. And then again, just lots more of these with lots of different processes and materials and foams. And we tested all of them to see which dried the fastest, which were the most comfortable, which were resistant to sweat, like which mechanically were the most durable, and many more considerations than that. But those were the types of things we were thinking about before we arrived at the design we ended up selecting.
And so speaking of that design, thank you for that, Mindy. So speaking of that design, we're gonna now do a couple of close-up walkthroughs of the functionality of the modern current design that you see on our heads and on our Kickstarter campaign today. So that is what we have right here. So this is the final design, and you can see that the cord is integrated, the housing is fully laminated, and then it's fully encased in that smart fabric that we talked about. And then the battery is on the back. And so another thing that we did that we didn't get into just for the sake of time today is we did a lot of 3D printing for the shape of the battery to make sure that it could house a battery that had enough power to give us accurate competitive run times, but also sat comfortably on the back of your head. So what we'll do right now is I'm going to walk you through the modes of the light really quickly. And then we also very excitingly have, I'm just going to grab real quickly, we also have our stuff sack. So as everybody knows, if you come back us on Kickstarter, you will get a free stuff sack that will be sold separately outside of Kickstarter, but by coming to Kickstarter, you get it for free. And it's a really cool design that our team designed in-house that transforms the headlamp into a hangable light. And Mindy will show you, there's some cool little details inside that show you how easy it is to get it up and running. So close-up time. I just want to flag to if anybody's watching, I'm going to be turning some lights on. So if you're sensitive to that or flashing lights could be upsetting to you in any way. Well, no, I'm just saying hopefully I just want to let you know that a bright light is going to flash. So we're going to take you through the different modes. So first, before I do that, I want to show you where the button is. So the button is right up here, up front. And then behind it, you'll see a little bit of a lip, and that is used to articulate downward. So again, if you're trail running, or if you're just even walking your dog at night and you want to see what's underfoot, articulating the light downward makes it really easy so that you can direct your light to the appropriate place. So now I will just push it back up, really easy to push back up. And again, everything happens right from this single button. So the electronics team engineered and programmed the PCB, which is the printed circuit board, so that you could access all of this functionality from one location. So again, the places, so lights are flashing now. Here we go. So we start with red night mode, white spot, white flood, them together. So that's the full 330 lumens. And then if I turn it off, it'll have memory, so it'll take me back to the full, but if I keep pressing, it'll take me to strobe and then off. So again, it has memory. I'll take you back through. So if I go to red and then white, if I press and hold, it's gonna dim down. And if I press and hold again, it's gonna dim back up. And you can do that for both white spot, flood, or both. So again, it's just a matter of press and hold. So that's what's going on there. Again, close up. So if you see, if I show this to you like this, we've shown you a lot of shots of it on people, including us. But if you see, it's slightly curved, and that curvature is what helps the headlamp sit on your forehead as flush as a contact lens. But let's say you don't want it on your head. Let's say you want it hanging from a tent or on a branch at your campsite. Mindy's going to show you how our hanging lantern works so that you can actually put this in a spot so that it diffuses the light really effectively.
Cool. So this is the really amazing diffuser stuff sack that was designed by one of our designers here at BioLite. If you open up the stuff sack, you'll see it's more or less just an ordinary stuff sack, but it has these small loops on the inside here, and these are what you're going to use to assemble your headlamp. So what you do is you take your headlamp and you squish it. So you squish it in half like this. Make sure it's on and make sure it's facing down. And then you just simply take these little arms and you slide it through the loops. And that's it. Nice and easy. And these loops are what are going to hold it in place, so you can have it as far up or down in the diffuser stuff sack as you want.
And the nice thing about that is by keeping it in the center of the stuff sack, it really allows you to distribute the light rather than having like a hot spot pressed up against one side.
So now I'm going to put it in. Bada bing, bada boom. Tighten the drawstring. And, oh, hold up.
It's fine.
And get it in there good. All right. And now it's diffusing.
And so the sack itself comes with a little loop that you can hang inside your tent, hang from a carabiner, anything like that.
Cool.
Cool. So now we're going to move away from the tabletop, and the rest of today's discussion is going to be a conversation answering some FAQs with Mindy, and then we're going to have our beta testers on in just a few minutes. So the first question that we have had from folks is, one of the things that is different about the headlamp is that it's USB rechargeable. So there are definitely some rechargeables out in the headlamp space, but it's not the dominant model in the category. Yep. And so a lot of people have questions about the battery itself, mostly the fact that because you can't swap out alkalines, what is the life of the battery? What is the life of the headlamp?
Yeah, so an important part of BioLite's mission is having power wherever you want it, and we don't like just throwing lots of alkaline batteries out, and so we chose to use a rechargeable battery in this product. And battery life, when talking about rechargeables, is primarily limited to the number of charge cycles, and that means that the battery life depends on how you're using it. So this battery will maintain most of its capacity up to or exceeding 1,000 cycles. And so if you are a recreational camper and you're just using this a few times a year, you absolutely do not have to worry about the battery life, because this thing is going to last for 15 years. If you are a daily user, then you should be asking yourself, how frequently do I recharge the battery? Given the battery life, you're not recharging it every day. So we are estimating that you probably will have a 8 to 10 year battery life cycle before the battery starts to degrade, but you'll maintain most of its charge throughout that entire time period. This is typical of rechargeable batteries.
Yep. So I think that in terms of the lifetime of the headlamp, it is designed to last a really long time. I think that sometimes rechargeables get a bad rap because of the cell phone market, and that cell phones are kind of designed for planned obsolescence. This is not designed for planned obsolescence. This is designed for long-term durability and use, and the battery cycles are meant to withstand several years of use. One thing I want to do is I want to pause FAQs really quickly. As a public service announcement, we have some people coming in asking if our campaign is for US and Canada only. No, it is not. It is shipping everywhere. You just have to find the right reward level. So I think what's happening is people are scrolling down, seeing the first reward level and trying to find their country, and they don't see it. There is a reward level that is specially designated international. It is the international reward level. And if you go to that reward level, you should find your country in the drop down there. It's just a different reward level because we need to ship to a different warehouse. And so we need to manage the way that the pledges are coming in a little bit differently. So thank you. If you are an international backer or you would like to be an international backer, just find that international reward level. Okay, back to the FAQs.
Cool.
Another one, and this is again back to the kind of durability. So not just how long does it last, but one question that people are getting is how do you clean it?
Cool. So this product is IPX4 rated. What that means is that it can withstand splashed water or light rain. But what's important is not to submerge the electronics. So when washing the head strap, you can use whatever soap you want. It's just important that you hand wash it because if you submerge the electronics, it is not waterproof, it's water resistant. So whether you're using detergent, dish soap, your camp suds, it's all fine. We've tested for all of that. The head strap itself is extremely durable.
And I think that another thing to kind of the counterpoint to that is a lot of people want to know how you clean it because of sweating. And so the way that the materials are bonded together, that first layer that's going to be right on your head is going to wick moisture away, but it won't get into the electronics. So if you're a big sweater, you're okay. This is designed to withstand that. So it's really good for runners and things like that. We don't hear a lot of reports of people actually washing their headband on their headlamp. But if the moment comes that you really do want to do it, my recommendation would be to get a sponge that is has just a tiny little bit of either detergent or soap on it, and you can just kind of wipe it down. Because again, this is not something that has to be like heavily cleaned. You're just trying to kind of loosen up a little bit of that sweat that's come through, and then clean it off. But you don't need to do any sort of like super rigorous washing. But if you want to wipe it down, it can totally withstand that. But don't dunk it in your sink.
Yeah. Totally.
Cool. So speaking of IPX4, some folks are asking what are the different conditions that you can use this in. So for some people, IPX4 might be a terminology they're not familiar with. So if you want to just kind of talk about what that durability testing looks like and what the results are for the headlamp.
Yeah, so a lot of products in the outdoor market have what's called an IPX rating, and IP stands for ingress protection, specifically as it relates to water and dust. And so this product, like I mentioned before, is IPX4, and that specific rating means that the product can withstand splashed water or light rain. I've been outside while it's been raining with this product, and it's been totally fine. I've worn it, when I was totally sweaty, it's been fine. I've washed it before, it's been fine. So I think for the majority of use cases, you have nothing to worry about. The only cause for concern is submersion or like very, very torrential downpour where the entire product is being completely saturated. So I think my recommendation would be to treat it like a lot of your other electronic outdoor products, which is generally with a decent amount of care, and you don't have anything to worry about, I don't think.
Cool. So one question that's been hot on the boards that we're going to answer right here, right now is the headlamp is rechargeable via micro USB. And we have a lot of people asking,
I noticed that.
Why not USB-C? And so just so people know, this was an intentional choice by the team.
Totally.
We're not surprised by USB-C. Mindy, why don't you talk a little bit about what led to our decision to stick with micro USB?
Yeah. So USB-C is a really cool new USB protocol that is being used on large electronics. And the main reason why we did not use USB-C in this product is because this product and its functionality did not stand to benefit from the majority of the functionality offered by USB-C. So USB-C is reversible and it's compact. That's awesome. It can receive power and it can send power. For this product, we don't need to send power. We're not charging out from our headlamp, so we didn't need that functionality. USB-C has data transfer. We don't need to transfer any data for our headlamp, so we didn't need that functionality. USB-C has different protocols so that you can take adapters for, say, HDMI and apply it to your USB-C cord, and USB-C will be able to operate that functionality. We don't need any sort of display coming out of our headlamp, so we didn't need that type of functionality. And then I think the last amazing thing about USB-C is its ability to deliver a lot of power. And so if you have a large iPad, that's really useful. But for this product, we have a relatively small battery, and so we did not need, nor were we able to deliver a lot of power to our battery, because batteries, based on their size, are only able to accept a certain amount of energy and still stay safe, right? So even if we had wanted to charge up this battery super fast, right now we're charging it as quickly as we can according to what's safe for the battery. And again, that's really typical for small lithium-ion batteries of this size.
Yeah. So again, as a quick recap, the reason that we chose micro USB is it's the safest way to deliver the most amount of energy we can for the size of the battery. We also had a variety of functionality that we didn't need that USB-C provides, but micro USB does the job for what we needed.
Exactly.
And then lastly, one thing I do want to add is here at BioLite, as you might know, we believe in an energy ecosystem. So being able to charge off of a power bank or a solar panel and use that energy to charge a variety of devices. And so if you're bringing a variety of devices to your campsite, whether it's a headlamp, a flashlight, a water purifier, a speaker, a lot of these have micro USB in as the input. And so we want you to bring one cord. We want you to bring one cord so that you can kind of speak the same energy language to all of your devices. And so for this time and place and where we are in kind of product life cycles for both us and other companies, micro USB was the way to go.
Yep, it's so much more common.
Yep, cool. Last question that I have for you, and then we're gonna bring our beta testers on, is folks are asking about the warmth of the light. So if you guys have seen when we did the kind of modes before, and if not, rewind and go watch it, it's a bit of a cooler light. It's on the cooler side. Do you want to talk about the warmth of our headlamp?
Sure. So these LEDs that we're using, they have a 6500K color temperature. And so what that means is that it's a relatively cool light. Cooler LEDs are more efficient, which is part of the reason why we use them. It means that the LEDs are brighter with less energy. And this 6500K color temperature is very standard across different types of task lighting. So if you look at most headlamps in the market, they'll be 6500K or 7000K. However, if you looked at a different product category, say lanterns that are more social light, you might see slightly warmer LEDs. But for this specific product and the type of tasks that it's used for, we wanted the most brightness with the longest runtime to navigate in the dark on the trails when you're camping.
And just a shameless shout out to the rest of the BioLite family. If you are interested in ambient social lighting, you should check out our complete light kit on our Kickstarter campaign. That offers our entire nanogrid family. So that's our entire line of USB rechargeable lighting. And the lanterns in that family have the option for warmer lighting. There's also warmer overhead lighting. So if you are looking for that more social ambient setting, you can complement your hyper functional headlamp with a bunch of other BioLite lighting products.
Oh yeah.
Shameless plug over. And then the last thing I want to say about this is that some folks are asking for, can we see the brightness? Like obviously we just kind of flared it on the screen to you. But if you want to see the brightness, we'll share this at the end of the video and in an update. we have a great review video that just came out from a channel on YouTube called Living Survival. And at around the 7-minute mark of that video, he does some brightness testing where he's literally walking around with the headlamp on at night in the woods, and the camera is from his perspective. So you get to see the light that's being displayed in front of you through the headlamp. So check it out. It's a Living Survival YouTube channel, and it's the headlamp review, and it's around about the 7-minute, 20-second mark. But again, we'll give you a time-stamped link at the end of this review. So with that, Mindy, thank you for joining us.
No problem.
So again, if you have any more questions for our engineer and design team, you can put them in the comment wall here. We'll answer them. We'll get answers and share it out after. But now it's beta tester time.
Nice.
Thanks, Mindy. I'm gonna shift over. And so for our final section, I am super excited to welcome Pieter and Sarah. Hi, wave to go ahead, wave to everybody. Come on up. I'll kind of move to the side. So as everybody knows, we are really, really lucky to have an amazing community, not only of backers, but of ambassadors. And so our ambassadors work with us year round. They do prototype testing. They give us feedback about how and where they're using our products. And so we are lucky enough to have 2 of them with us today who have been using the headlamp prior to the launch on Kickstarter. So do you guys want to just introduce yourself really quickly, and then maybe like kind of introduce yourself, what you're up to, your connection to the outdoors?
All right. Hey, I'm Sarah, and I'm based here in New York City. I run a company called Outdoor Fest. We try to get New Yorkers outside. So lots of fun events, campouts where we need headlamps, and different ways for people who live in an urban center to be able to kind of get outdoors and enjoy nature. So that's my intro.
Great.
Okay, cool.
My name is Peter Cooper. I'm part of a group called Brothers of Climbing, one of the co-founders. Our goal is to help diversify climbing and the outdoors. And you may also see me down at Brooklyn Boulders.
Yay. And another shameless plug, tomorrow is National Try-On Day for BioLite for the headlamp. And so there's spots all over the country where you can go try on the headlamp. And one of those spots is Brooklyn Boulders. Yay. Cool. All right. So guys, how's it going with the headlamp? And this is honest talk. So how have you been using it? How are you finding it? What have you been using it for? Yeah, so take it away.
Well, I've been wearing it for the past like 40 minutes now, and I didn't even know it's on my head anymore. It's pretty light. Recently, I was up in Seattle and Vancouver Island doing some camping, some hiking in the rain. It rains too much there. So I got a chance to use the headlamp. Worked out pretty well. Got some good battery time out of it to set up the tent, cooking, and it lasts through some pretty heavy rain, so it's pretty comfortable. Different settings I was able to use, so yeah, I dig it.
Thanks. Sarah, how have you been using it?
Yeah, just for camping mainly. For the past few weekends, it's finally beautiful weather here, so I've been trying to spend some time outside, and we had a big camp out a few weeks ago, and I was wearing this, and I would say the number one like compliment or feedback piece that I got from people was how bright it was. Like I would turn it on and everyone's like, whoa, like your light lasts, like projects so much further than ours. And like, yeah, it's my new BioLite headlamp. So that was definitely the biggest thing I've noticed from using it.
Cool. So you guys, as I said, you guys have had it for several weeks before the campaign went live. What is there anything that has surprised you about the headlamp, like in your interaction with it?
How comfortable it is. I've had other headlamps. They kind of slide off. Like I said, I keep forgetting that it's even on my head. Like, just in the tent. Usually I don't use it, but it stays right there. It's like it's bright, but it's not like everywhere. So like wherever you look, at this point, the light is right where you need it. Mm-hmm. So it's pretty good. Cool.
Yeah, I would say the comfort part as well, like just like having it on and not feeling like it's super heavy in the front. And then also probably being able to charge it with the USB and not having to use batteries. And yeah, I also like have battery packs in the whole system. So it's really easy just to plug it in, and I bring one for my cell phone anyway. So it's just
it's there and it like works with all the other stuff I have. So that's been nice.
And actually, an interesting question about that is, I know that sometimes people are nervous about rechargeability because they're like, what if I need it right now? I think that, so one, we accept pass-through charging. So if you need to be using it and charging it at the same time, you can. But can you speak to the kind of charging experience? Like, you're not feeling like you're running out and have to urgently charge, like you're timing it pretty well?
Yeah, I mean, I just plug it in after I'm finished with my trip. And then I also have a power bank with me, because I thought about that too. It's like, well, you can't bring the like backup batteries. Like, what happens if I forget something? But then I was like, well, I already bring a power bank. So that's like the backup battery situation. You know, I've been camping. It's not like I've been like on the side of a mountain kind of thing. So I haven't had a situation where I've had to do the pass-through charge. But yeah, I would say just like with everything, just plugging it in when you're done with it, and then let it recharge, and then it's just ready for you. And then of course with anything outdoors, just having a backup in case you need to.
Cool. Yeah. So one question, and this is kind of expanding beyond core outdoor. So as you know, like, we're all friends because we're in the outdoor space together. But we're also seeing a lot of people who are saying, like, I'm not a camper. Like, is a headlamp good for me? And I'd love to get your thoughts on that. Like, do you see this being useful outside of just like a core camping experience?
Yes, definitely. If your lights go out, this will be the thing to wear. You use it. I mean, just keep it in your car. You know, you never know. You break down somewhere. You don't have to really be camping. We're in the city, so anything can happen.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't even think of that, but after I got back from camping last weekend, I walked into my house and we like turned the light on, and then everything went out because someone had hit a telephone pole. And we used our headlamps. I didn't even think of that, but yes, that is like a real life scenario that happened to me like 4 days ago. But yeah, I think in general, it's always good to have lighting sources, and this is a really easy one. Especially, I hadn't seen that stuffsack before, but especially with that, for that kind of like worst case scenario situation, sounds pretty good.
Cool.
Yeah.
And then one question I wanted to ask you guys, whether it's with this headlamp or previous headlamps, because we've gotten so many questions about care and washing. When is the last time you washed a headlamp, and have you tried washing this headlamp?
I've never washed a headlamp. No.
Yeah.
Well, and I guess my question is, like, you're avid headlamp users, correct?
Yeah.
So like, I think that what we're just trying to say is, like, you can wash it if you want to, but chances are you probably won't,
right.
Because
I've been camping for a long time. I've never washed a headlamp, so I don't know. Maybe we're gross.
I like it dirty.
Yeah. Cool. Do we have any other questions that we want to ask? Cool. Anything else that you guys want to share about the headlamp itself, or what the experience has been like?
Well, I will say about the charging, comes in handy to have like some of the other products from BioLite. I have the lantern where you can plug right into the lantern, so that can light up while you're charging the headlamp. So it's convenient to have as well. With you,
so yeah, with our power light and our base lantern, those also offer USB out, so they can be on while charging another device. Yeah, cool.
I have a question.
Yeah.
How do you adjust it?
Just in the back.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Where is it?
This thing.
So here, I can turn while you guys are showing. So am I in the right place, guys? Things are getting
right
crazy.
here.
So there's 2 clips right here on either side. So it's really easy. You just pull towards your ears if you want to tighten, or you push away back towards the back of your head if you want to loosen it. So it's really easy. You just pull simultaneously on either side so that it makes sure that it's really a really even distribution when you're tightening it. Which, on a related note, a question we've got is, does it fit kids? And the answer is yes, it does. If you haven't already, check out Adventures of 4 on Instagram. They have a awesome review from a 5-year-old, 4-year-old, a tiny child whose the headlamp fits on his head. So check it out. It does fit kids. Awesome. Any other questions that we've missed? Cool. So maybe in conclusion, can you let people know where to find you if people want to know more about what you guys are involved in, or how to get connected to the organizations that you guys are involved in and leading?
Yeah, let's see. Instagram, BOC Crew, so BOCCREW. Twitter as well. Find us on Facebook.
There's a really good movie on YouTube about.
There is the
them.
movie on yes, Brothers of Climbing. We teamed up with REI. Check that out on YouTube. You can always come climbing at Brooklyn Boulders, and anywhere outdoors you'll find us, especially here.
Hi. So I would say if you're in New York City, hopefully you're already connected with Outdoor Fest, but if you're not, we have something called Mappy Hour, which is a community of urban dwelling outdoor enthusiasts. And we have chapters all over the country and one in Canada. So check it out at mappyhour.org and join, or let us know if you want to start a chapter in your city.
One more, almost forgot.
Yeah.
So Brothers of Climbing and Brown Girls Climb, we are throwing a big festival down in Horsepens 40 in Alabama, October 18th through the 21st. It's called Color the Crag. Color the Crag on Instagram. You can hit us up at any time and get your tickets. So it'll be fun. It's cool bouldering down in Steele, Alabama next in October.
Cool. Yeah. Well, and so we'll share all those links.
Cool.
Guys, thank you so much for
Awesome.
joining us.
Having
Yeah. I'm going to talk to the camera a little bit for just a minute or two. So really quick rundown. Thank you for joining us. If you just joined us, we're going to repost this with some timestamps so that you can get to the questions that you want answers to. A couple of housekeeping things. So in a quick review, one, if you are an international backer or an international viewer and you want to support the campaign, you can find the reward level that's called international. It's a separate reward level that we just needed to manage for inventory purposes, but it's there. And if you select it, you should be able to find your country. In terms of additional reward levels, it turns out you guys really like the color gray. There's all these amazing colorways. I have Ember Red on right now, but a lot of folks really like gray, and I totally get it. It's a good tactical color. A lot of people want it to, if they're hunting or fishing or just, want to keep things muted. We have been able to open up additional production run for gray. So you can go find that now if you want. But the one caveat I'll give is that it's for a February timeline. So if you want gray by holiday, that is sold out. You can, come back in and check and see if people have canceled their pledge or anything. But we have 2 new gray reward levels open. We have a single gray, so that is just a standalone single gray headlamp. And then we also opened a 4-pack. We got a bunch of people asking about that for friends and family, or for if they're on teams or crews. So we do have a 4-pack of all grays that are open, but it will deliver in February, which is when our big traditional launch is going to happen at retail and things like that. So I just want to be really clear about the timelines. But if you come back on Kickstarter, you'll have access to our backer kit environment at the end of the campaign, and you'll be getting that free stuff sack for all of your headlamps. So I think that about sums it up. So National Try-On Day, just got some really helpful comments from the team. So mention this quickly when we were chatting with Pieter and Sarah. National Try-On Day is on Saturday. So on Saturday, September 29th. And so that'll be taking place across several cities across the United States. We're going to be in Denver and Austin, Chicago, Boston, New York, Bend. Did I forget anything? San Francisco. So we're going to be all over the place. And a huge thank you to our friends who are opening up their doors to us, including our friends at Kamek, who just launched their own Kickstarter. You should go check that out. But go check it out on Saturday. Give you a chance to try this on in person. Give you a chance to do all of this and have it not go anywhere. Give you a chance to put it on and forget you're wearing it. And so, yeah, go try it on. Visit these stores. They have a bunch of cool outdoor gear at all of these shops as well. More information coming on that. We're going to send a recap email later, but hope to see you there. And thanks for tuning in. Bye.